Today is April 27th, 2023. Today we are massaging Max. Max is a regular client. He gets quite a bit of body work. He is a lesson horse in a therapeutic riding club, as well as a lesson horse for young riders in English equestrian and jumping. Max has concerns today. His trainer found that he had a lot of stiffness to the left and he wasn't bending properly. He acted like it was quite painful, so they asked me to come in and have a look. And I think I found some stuff that's going on that I've been able to release, and I think he's going to feel better. Starting out, I started, of course, in his head. Sometimes Max is really distracted and we can't start with his head, but today he was quite happy. He was excited to see me. He thought I had a pocket full of cookies, so that was exciting, although I didn't. And so we started on his head, and he had very good response to head massage. He relaxed almost right away, like almost instantly. And he softened, and he allowed me to really work through his forehead, down through his mandible, and in his cheek. Oh, buddy, it's okay. And through his cheek, I was able to get a really deep massage down through his mandible. I went up into his occiput, which is just behind his ears, and he really enjoyed that. That's something he doesn't really like usually, but today it seemed really good. So I spent a few minutes there and just kind of allowed him to just kind of settle in a little bit more, get a little bit more relaxed, and that was great. From there, I went into his neck, and with the bending problem, I'm thinking neck, shoulders, for sure, probably part of their culprits, and it was. In his neck, his right-hand side actually felt really great. It was quite supple. He relaxed a lot. He was very lick and chew kind of guy. Everything seemed really great. I came on the left-hand side, and it was quite stiff, and I'm not surprised. I did some bending around his cervical vertebrae, and that was great. He did respond to a stiffness that way, but on the right it was great. The left, that was the situation. So I was able to see kind of where he was sore. And from there, I was able to kind of work quite deeply in his neck. And through his splenius, kind of the middle of his neck, halfway down, halfway across, is where the most of his tension was, kind of right above his C5, I guess it would be C5, right kind of in here. He was quite tense in there. And so I spent a lot of time kind of working out some kind of knots and banding, and he relaxed quite nicely with that. At first he was quite responsive to pain, but then he was able to soften, and he started to lick and chew with that as well. So that was a really great way to kind of find some of the problems and have a good response. So I was really happy about that. From there, I worked into his shoulders. Again, his left-hand side, through his withers, he had some soreness, but not too bad, not as bad as I expected. But through his scapula, he was a bit sore. The lower scapula, right in the front of the scapula, he was really, really tense and hard, and it took a bit of work to kind of even get into there. It didn't release right away, but he was getting impatient with it, so he left it for then, and knowing I'd come back. So when I did come back after I did the other shoulder, it did release. And he's a little worried about it still, because I think it's been bugging him for a while, but it did release. I was able to get nice and deep under it, and he finally was able to just kind of let it go, and it softened quite nicely. So I think that's going to help his bending a lot as well. The right-hand side shoulder, I'll go to his right. Get over, big guy. Go, boy. Okay, so his withers felt pretty good. He didn't really have any responses to soreness within his withers on the right. Where he did seem to have tension and pain is in his upper infraspinatus, which is kind of the top of the scapula, behind the spine of the scapula, right at the top. It was quite sore in here, and I could feel lots of banding and lots of tension, kind of like big knots in there. And I was able to spend quite a bit of time just kind of getting those each to release, kind of one by one, just stretching them and giving them a nice deep massage and tension against the pain. So basically I kind of just flattened them out for him, and it seemed to really make him feel a lot better. He's now not responsive to that at all, and he was quite responsive to the touch before, so that was really great to see. The rest of his shoulder and his scapula on the side, beautiful and soft. Scapula opened right up, and he was just very happy. Front leg stretches, I'm not sure if Max just doesn't really like me handling his feet or if he is tough with feet, but his front feet, he was quite nasty about me lifting them. I wasn't able to really stretch too much. So I'd rather leave it alone, not upset him and build up his nervousness again, and I'm not willing really to get hurt. So I didn't do a ton with either any of his feet. His feet are a little bit touchy for me. So I think he just needs to be handled more, maybe. I'm not sure. But that's something to consider. Okay, going into his back. His back and his barrel felt really great. I didn't feel any pain in his back. Ribs all felt fantastic. He really enjoyed having everything rubbed. As I went through his external abdominal oblique, on his right, he acted super girthy, which is not like him. But he was kind of reaching around almost like he wanted to nip at me when I was working through here. And so not common for him. I was a little concerned, but I was able to do a pressure point technique that I've actually recently learned, and it actually seems fine now. So that worked out pretty good. So I don't see any girthiness at all in there now. So I think whatever was bothering him, I was able to release. So that was great news. I know sometimes these girthy horses scare us, but I think he's pretty good now. Okay, going in from there to his hips, his lumbar. So the lumbar on the right was very painful. Good boy. Very painful today. I was able to get up and work above him, and he would let me start, then he'd move and didn't want it. So then I'd move back, get him settled in, do it again, he'd move. To me, that indicates it's painful. I could feel him kind of shying away from me a little bit under his skin, like, ooh, I'm scared, I don't want to be hurt. So I worked really long and deep and slow through his right lumbar. I was able to do tail stretching with that, and it feels a lot better. So between the lumbar and shoulder and the lumbar on the left, the lumbar on the right and the shoulder and neck on the left, I think that's where his bending problems are. And I think maybe you're going to see a huge difference because I felt a big difference as I did this. So that released fantastic on his right, felt terrific. His left, no problems. His left felt good. He had absolutely no response to pain. He was really cooperative with lifting his tail and quite enjoyed it, I think, on his left. So that was great. Going through his hind end, his rump, let's see. He took quite a long nap almost with his hips. He absolutely loved his hips being done. I was able to stretch his sacroiliac joint, his lumbosacral joint, his hip joint. Everything felt really, really solid. I had absolutely no concerns there. And I spent quite a bit of time just working deep into those hips, and giving him lots of really good relaxation. He just dropped his head and he kind of yawned and chewed a little bit, and he really enjoyed that. So I think after kind of the tension of the lumbar, he really enjoyed having that little bit of a rest afterwards. So that looks really, really great. His hind end is fantastic and he's nice and solid. I checked his gelding scars. Gelding scar feels good. He enjoys having that stretched. It's never been a problem for him. But again, the other thing, I'm not sure. I think he may need his sheath cleaned. As I was in his belly, he kind of acted like that sheath was maybe bothering him. He was a little bit nervous when I got kind of close to the sheath underneath his belly. So might maybe have a peek at that, see if it could be worked on and cleaned up, and I think that would be great too. But in general, I think we've come a long way today. I think the bending to the left is going to be substantially better, and I'd love to hear how he does, so let me know. We are going to start our carrot stretches, which have to be done after the video because he's super food motivated, and once he gets his carrots, he's a little bit silly. So we're going to do some big stretching with his carrots, and then he will go back out to the pasture and have a big drink, I'm sure. It's a beautiful sunny day, and he can go rest in the sun when we're finished. So let me know if you have any concerns. Please let me know how he's doing. Talk to you soon.